Ashley.
Hello, Robyn. We are back.
We are back. It is 2021.
2021.
My video is all funky tonight. I do not know what is going on, but anyway, happy 2021.
Happy 2021. I am really excited about this year. 2020 ended I'm glad that it ended. It was a crazy year, but at the same time, for at least us, and I know a lot of people, there was a lot of growth last year. So I'm just extra excited about this year.
I am too. How are you doing on your New Year's resolutions that we talked about?
2021 is going amazing. As far as we talked about this with Brenna, our New Year's resolutions, we didn't really start exactly at the new year, but I've been doing very well as far as the health goals, working out. I've been doing a lot more just extra nutritious food, cooking more at the house. And then also one of my New Year's resolutions is to at some point buy some land for my yurts that I'm trying to do. So I believe it was last week, I went and looked at some land, which was really exciting. And it was one of those things where I needed to get myself out there. It was a little nerve-wracking. It's scary to actually go because it made it start to feel real. And I started to get a little bit nervous, but at the same time, it was awesome because I was able to also see that land obviously wasn't the one, but it was able to give me more knowledge on what is going to work for me and what I'm actually looking for. So what about you?
I have been doing really well. There was one point where I either had to throw away some food because waste was one of my resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
I either had to eat it or throw it away. And so I decided to eat it, which is not something I would have done last year. I would have just tossed it and started all over again. I like super fresh food. I do not like anything in the fridge over 2 or 3 days.
What?
Yeah, that's why I have to freeze everything because I will not eat anything. Like bread has to be like 3 or 4 days old or I will not eat it. It's a weird thing, which is why I waste food.
I've never known that about you, though. I didn't know that was the reason that you wasted food. I thought it just for me, I just leave it in there for too long.
No, I have this weird thing about fresh food. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, but eating nutritiously, having some fruit smoothies. And the big thing that you and I have been doing is we're working out every Monday night and we're also doing manifesting. If any of our listeners want to join us, we are doing Monday nights. You can email icandoanythingpod@gmail.com and we will be happy to add you on to our workout Monday nights and manifesting. That has been awesome.
Super fun.
Something else that we want to do this year, Ashley, is we had a listener express to us that we should say, if you like us, please give us a review. And also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which we failed to do last year.
I don't think we did it in a single episode. I think part of it is it feels weird to ask people to subscribe to you, but I mean, we have to get better about that. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
We do. I didn't even think about it. And another listener told me that they liked the natural background better instead of the virtual background. I had pictures. So they said, stop with the pictures, stop with the green screen, and just do a natural background. So it's pretty dark, which makes my face look super red. Anyway, with our background being at home all the time, we're not out and about and recording or broadcasting from anywhere, which brings us up to a super interesting topic of teaching from home during COVID. In 2021, we are still dealing with COVID. And as a part of that, I'm sure many of you have been at work and are either on Zoom meetings, WebEx meetings, Microsoft Team meetings, and you always hear, can you hear me? Am I on mute? Or, hey, you're on mute. You need to get off of mute. And there's so many memes going around and the COVID bingo, the COVID workspace, all of that. Sometimes you actually get to hear parents yelling at their children on meetings. You get to see children on meetings. You get to hear dogs barking. We all know my co-pilot Dawn and her dogs bark at almost every single meeting. I think she's trained them. Have you had times where you're in meetings and some of your coworkers are actually teaching from home during COVID?
Yes, actually, I spoke to one of my coworkers today about this whole thing. She is in the Georgia area, and because of the lack of teachers that are going actually in person to school, she, I think for the foreseeable future, maybe even the rest of the year, is having to do only remote learning. And that has been, I know, a challenge for her because she is having to juggle a work-life balance and then also her children and all doing it in the same spot. And then, I mean, she has 3 children that she's having to kind of wrangle, and ranging from, I think it's 7th grade to kindergarten. And we all know that kids in all that range, just, it's hard to focus. So
I
it's hard
bet
for
it
me
is.
to focus. So I totally get it. What about you?
I do see a lot of my coworkers, helping kids with homework or trying to balance helping their own kids with homework during the day, working, and then trying to do homework at night.
Mhm.
Our guest today is Ashley Nesbit, and she gets to wrangle sixth graders, and we get to hear from her how she does that. So, welcome to the show, Ashley.
Welcome.
Hi, guys.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your teaching experience and how everything turned around last late winter?
Sure. So right now you're hearing my own 2 children in my classroom for all of fourth quarter last spring. And this is my 11th year in education. I've taught any grades from kindergarten through 8th grade. I currently teach 6th grade math at a private independent school. We were virtual learners from April until June last year, and then we transitioned back to learning in the classroom. We teach using a hybrid model. So I teach learners both at home and in my classroom from my classroom. We had about 1-2 week span where we were teaching from home over the course of first semester. And outside of that, we've been teaching from school.
How is that going? Do you have parents that are concerned or do you have parents that are thrilled?
For the most part, our parents are overwhelmingly grateful that our students are back at school. Our students are grateful to be there. They are super resilient, compliant with our mask mandates. They're just happy to be there. Parents are happy to have them there. And the social part of learning has been really, it's a blessing for our kids.
That was one thing I was not concerned about, but just interested in is I just remember back to when I was in 6th grade, and the idea of having to wear a mask as a 6th grader, especially these even younger kids having to wear a mask, these kids are just blowing my mind at just how well they have handled. They've adapted so quickly, and they're handling it like champions. The teachers are handling it like champions. I mean, I just can't imagine having to do all that. You had to switch a lot of your models over within a very short amount of time, as if you weren't worked enough.
How did that work, the switch over?
So we were told at the beginning of our spring break that we might be transitioning to a completely virtual model. And fortunately, I'm young and pretty tech savvy, and I have a lot of technology available to me. So I was able to digitize almost all of my instruction and still make it interactive. I was able to make all of my assessments digital and interactive, and I'm still using some of the platforms that I used in spring throughout this year. Because we have learners at home and because my classroom is kind of a wonky setup with social distancing, I have had to digitize all of my lessons for this year in an effort to make them interactive for both of our online learners and our in-person learners, but it's going.
Those platforms that you're using, were those ones that were already set up, or did they come about during COVID? Do you know?
Yeah, so they existed before COVID, but they weren't platforms that I was using. So much of the instruction that I do is hands-on learning and collaborative learning. So my students sit in pods in my classroom. They actually do a ton of interactive stuff. And everything is designed to appeal to kinesthetic learners as well as our visual and auditory learners. We've lost some of those elements because kids can't be sitting in pods and collaborating because we can't be reusing materials over the course of a day. So they're platforms that I wasn't otherwise using because I was using different modalities to instruct students, but I've fallen in love with them. And the platforms that I'm using have perks that some of the stuff that I was using before doesn't. I'm able to provide feedback in real time on work that students are doing. There's a database that stores most of my student work. So if at any point I have a question on where a student is at or what the student was doing on a specific day, I can go back in and pull up files. So it's a trade-off. Everything's just different.
Everything is just different. My husband and I don't have children at home. However, or anywhere else, hoping.
I was about to say, Robyn, I did not know this.
No, we don't have children. We often would talk about, though, when we were watching the news, we would talk about, would it be better for the kids to be at home and learn online at home? Or would it be better for the kids to go back to school? Or would it be better for a hybrid? And then we started talking about, because it was on the news here locally in the Madison, Wisconsin area, about did children that were working or that were, sorry, were children that were being schooled at home only, they didn't have the hybrid model, were they really behind? Like, were they behind socially? Were they behind scholastically? How would you say that? How would you?
Mom, I want to write a name on my sticker.
It's interesting. Sorry, what you see me dealing. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they want to be by me, which is fine. But
they can come. They can sit by you.
They'll be talking.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting. Kids are resilient. That's what I can tell you. One of my biggest takeaways is from this whole thing, and they are flexible. And if we ask them to try something, they'll try it. They'll give us feedback. They'll try it differently. They are eager to please. And if the other thing is that they put their trust into us wholly as teachers, as the adults in the situation. So if we're telling them that we're going to try something out and this could work out for you, they're putting their trust in that. And it's
do you think any children would had a developmental issue or anything because they weren't in school?
I'm sure special education has looked completely different and has needed to look completely different. So I'm sure that's a struggle, and I can't imagine what it's like to have special education or special needs students at home. That means parents are getting no respite, and I know schools are part of providing that respite. Some of my experience is in teaching special education. So I can't imagine how hard that must be.
What are some things that parents bring up to you as concerns? And for those of you that can't see me, I'm waving to him. So he's waving back.
So cute.
You say hi? Say hello? No. Okay. Can you ask that again? I'm sorry.
I don't know. I got so caught up in his cuteness, I totally forgot.
What concerns do parents have?
Yeah. What are some of the concerns? Even the parents that are really happy that their kids are either doing a hybrid or back in class, what concerns do they have?
I think general parent concerns. Parents are concerned that their kids are going to be on track to be ready for high school, on track to graduate when they're supposed to graduate. Are the kids getting the skills that they need to be successful further in life for college? Are we building resilience? I think we've had a lot more conversations this year about soft skills, about learning about who you are as a learner in middle school, about figuring out how to communicate with your teachers, how to ask adults for help, how to ask peers for help, using the technology resources we have at our fingertips in the best way possible to get what we need as learners. So I think parents have the same general concerns. They want what's best for their kid, and they want to know that their teachers are invested in their kids and in their kids' best interests. And it just looks different. It feels different, but we're caring about kids in the same way. We're delivering instruction that feels different, but it's still best practice. It's still what's good for kids.
I think that's so wonderful. I mean, most parents, just want what's best for their kid. And they are definitely, are you seeing that they're trying to work more with you, like the parents, or are they kind of just saying, hey, you guys know what's best, I'm going to let it be completely in your hands?
I think it depends on the student's needs. And I think parents, more so than ever, parents are realizing that they know their child best.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all grown from this time that we've had at home with the kids. And it's just different. We've all just had to shift and pivot, and parents have done the same. And I think parents are reaching out for help sooner than they ever have if they're recognizing the student is struggling, and they're asking for extensions, things that they can do at home with their kids. I think maybe there's a heightened awareness of where their child is at, and maybe a higher engagement of what can we do to help him or her go forward.
That's a great takeaway, though. I mean,
It
because
is.
I know, as far as, I mean, my mom is a teacher. She's a first grade teacher. And some parents just, and I don't know if it's maybe just the school, but some parents just aren't having that touch point with the teachers. And maybe the first time that they will even talk to the teachers if there is a bad grade or something. And it's great that if they're seeming to interact with the teachers more, which I think is it's just good in general.
It is. It is.
Do you seem to be more engaged with your kids? I know that you and your husband are very engaged with your children as it is now. Do you think doing a hybrid model has made you even closer with your kids, or is it just a different kind of normal?
I think it's just a new normal. I appreciated the time at home with them in the spring. So when I was teaching from home, I was with them all the time. The trade-off to that is instead of having lunch off and not having to worry about helping feed them breakfast, I was full-time momming and full-time teaching. So that wasn't so fantastic, but we figured it out. A lot of communication changes.
Go, 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 go.
I just want to show you what's happening here right now.
Hi, Sutton. Hi,
Hi.
Hi.
So sorry, you guys.
Button.
Hi.
Robyn, this is why I told you I was hoping it would be on a walk.
Button. Button.
Hi, Sutton.
Can
I
you,
think this is.
can you go play in your room?
No, I want to be up here. I can see
I
it.
love this. It's so perfect.
Hi, guys.
Hi. But this is, I will say, there has been, I think one of the great things about 2020 and also about 2021 is that so many families have connected in so many ways where it's just, it has been really kind of warming my heart seeing some of my coworkers' kids on because it brings a sense of just, I don't know, it feels like family. And I really do love that part of it. So, and I think the kids also enjoy having parents home, and it's just, you know. Hi. Hello.
I can't even see.
Yeah, I understand.
It would be so hard.
I think it would be too.
The girl that's in Georgia, she is really struggling with it. She's a single mom and has 3 kiddos, and they all have homework and stuff. And she's like, we're just making it happen. She's like, sometimes it means we can't do the homework. And she's like, it's just too much, you know? So you're back. You're gonna have fun editing this, Robyn.
It'll be fine. I saved time.
Yep.
I saved time.
You handle it so well.
We're working on things. They're 3 and 1, and I have to remind myself that
Right.
they're 3 and 1.
Mm-hmm. It happens. But they're so sweet too.
Ashley, why don't you walk us through what it was like teaching virtually through a day, and then what it's like teaching now in a hybrid model?
Sure. So when we were teaching virtually in the spring, our schedule shifted, and we taught our core classes in the morning. We were on an A and B day schedule. So I taught half of my students on the A days, half of my students on the B days. And then in the afternoons, I had office hours where students would meet with me for specific needs, one-on-one needs, small group instruction, or for extras. So there were groups that we just had that were social groups that we met with. All of my lessons were taught using a platform called Pear Deck, and I was able to take my Google Slides and make them interactive and see student responses in real time and give them feedback. I still continue to use that Pear Deck now that we are hybrid instructing. What a normal day looks like now is that I'm getting to school, and before every class, I have to sign students in on my iPad for the Zoom. Students attend my class via Zoom. I run a Zoom on my iPad, and I run a Zoom on my computer so that students can actually see themselves on the board and feel like they're a participating part of the class. So we've added that to the routine. I've also digitized all of my lessons. My classroom has a pillar and a chimney in the middle of it. So
Cool.
in an effort for everybody not to have a foul pole in the middle of their view that's on the opposite side of the room, I've digitized all of my lessons so students can see their lessons on the screen. So we still use that Pear Deck platform, and students interact with me via that. I give them written feedback privately on that platform. I teach anywhere between 3 and 5 classes in a day. I start my day out with a group of 15 advisees, and those students are like my homeroom students. And then I see my core classes. And at the end of the day, I touch base with my advisees again. We also are doing lunches in our classrooms as opposed to lunch in a general lunchroom for social distancing purposes. So lunches are delivered to our door every day. And as teachers, we distribute those lunches to our students. We take temperatures at lunch, and we wipe desks in between every class. So the instructions change to be a lot more virtual instead of interactive, so that we can meet the needs of all of our learners both at home and at school. And there's just a lot more cleaning practices that we have in place. And then I come home, I'm with my kids until they go to bed at night. And at that point, I start to digitize my lessons for the next day.
Do you think that, and I know it's hard to speculate right now just because we don't know the future of what's going to happen, the vaccine and everything, but are there anything, let's say that you guys did go back fully to in-classroom learning, are there things that you are hoping to keep, the digital learning, or are you going to just take bits and pieces or go back completely to what you were doing?
That's so hard to say.
Yeah.
I think there's so much good stuff that we have now for the learners that we have now, for the situation that we have now. I'm sure just like changes happen regularly in education, we're going to see more platforms come about, more tools come about for teachers as we transition into the unknown and into changes. So we'll have access to different things. And I'm sure what I do next year will look different from this year. And I'm sure the year after that it will look different. Some of that is just the teacher I am too.
Yeah.
It has to look
That's
different
great.
depending on the kids that you have.
It sounds to me, you're a math teacher, and I feel like when I was a kid, math was taught a very certain way. And I just love how you just are willing to experiment and do all, because I am a kinesthetic learner, and I don't feel like when I was a kid, there wasn't a lot of math kinesthetic learning going on. So I think that's amazing that you're doing what you're doing. And I'm sure you're getting a lot more kids excited about math than maybe might not have been if their learning style wasn't their learning style wasn't appreciated. So it's awesome.
I want kids to love math, and even if they don't love it, I don't want them to hate it. They're going to have to do it for the rest of their lives. So to turn them off of it in middle school, we're doing a disservice.
And I will say that's about when my I wouldn't say hatred, I don't mind it so much now, but math was so hard for me in middle school specifically, and it kind of made me feel like I wasn't good at math. But I just don't think it was a matter of not being good. I'm sure all of your kids are good at math if they are just learning the way that they're learning, that they're best at learning at. So that's great.
Anything that you want to let our listeners know about?
Not particularly. I think we have to remember that everybody's doing the best that they can. Parents are doing the best that they can. Teachers are doing the best that they can, just like everybody else is. And we just need to make allowances for that and understand that nobody's winning. This isn't ideal for anyone. And we will all continue to make the best of it. The kids will continue to make the best of it. And all we're going to come out with at the end of this is each other. So
Mhm.
you have
That's
to-
so beautiful.
That is. Yeah. Do you think all teachers are as engaged as you are? Do you feel that way?
I can only speak to the teachers that I work with, and I know that they're all working as tirelessly as I am, remastering things, reconfiguring things.
Mhm.
We want to provide the best experience that we possibly can for the kids because this is the only sixth grade experience that they'll have. And nobody wants to have a stinky sixth grade experience, right? Like, we're all doing the best that we can. And I have to imagine that every teacher out there that is doing this because they love kids and they love what they do is working equally as hard and cares equally as much.
Teachers are so cool.
I
I
try
really
to-
like, I hear these stories from my mom about these kids, and it's just like, she tries so hard to just get these kids involved. And I'm just like, I just can't imagine, because you're doing it so well. Like all the teachers that I know are just doing it so well. And they've always done it really well. But like, I think a lot of people, like, especially in business and stuff, we all had to do a little bit of a transition, but teachers have to keep an eye out for a bunch of kids too. So
I think we're very used to pivoting. And
right.
at some point, you either learn to make it look like a dance or you don't.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you so much.
Ashley and I would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a review on our podcast, or send us any comments whatsoever.
We are totally open to hearing from you, and we really appreciate all of the support that everyone has given us so far, and we hope to be able to reach more lives. The more, when you hit the like button or you subscribe, it allows us to reach more people. So we really appreciate it.
And also, I am wearing the I Can Do Anything podcast sweatshirt.
Merch.
So go out there and grab your I Can Do Anything merchandise. We would love to see it out there. Also, remember, you can always email us at icandoanythingpod@gmail.com.
All right. And until next time, stay awesome.
And keep reaching for your anything.
Bye.
See ya.